Hi, and welcome. Creative tension is a concept coined by Peter Sen in Chapter 9 of the book, The Fifth Discipline. He introduces creative tension in the context of what he calls personal mastery, which he describes as approaching one's life as a creative work, living life from a creative as opposed to a reactive viewpoint. This mastery is the discipline of continually building and resolving creative tension as a way to learn by setting and striving toward goals. Often, when we think of the word tension, we associate it with stress. When our muscles are tense, it's difficult to move freely and might even be painful. This type of tension comes when we accept burdens that are too heavy. We feel emotional tension when we are working too hard for too long without seeing a better day coming on the horizon. Instead, the practice of building creative tension allows us to look at our current situation not as obstacles, but as challenges. When we look at challenges as a way to approach our ideal state or a vision of a better future, they become easier to face and overcome. Another way to think about tension as a positive force is to think about what happens when we try to push a rope. The pressure results in a tangled mess because a rope is flexible and doesn't respond well to that type of force. In the same way, people are flexible, creative, and don't always respond well to being pushed. Instead, what happens when we pull on a rope? When we pull, we give the rope a clear direction, and the rope responds by untangling itself from the pile. No matter how much we push on a rope, we can't move the object that is tied to the rope. If we have a strong enough rope, we recognize that it's tangled, pull it apart a little bit at a time, and we can move things in the direction we want. This is the basic idea behind what we mean by tension in our discussion of creative tension. In other words, creative tension is the feeling when we're pulled toward our goals or vision of a brighter future for ourselves and our loved ones. The tension is created when we recognize that there's a gap between our current state reality and our ideal state. In a professional context, we employ creative tension based on the belief that organizations will be more successful when we empower people to be their best. In practice, this means leaders must shift away from the traditional approach in which they attempt to organize, plan, and control every detail of the business. Instead, leaders must provide the environment and conditions that allow people to strive, develop, and improve, both personally and professionally. By creating the right environment and raising expectations based on this, it allows people to respond and perform at a higher level. Peter Sen describes learning not as the accumulation of more information, but the raising of our ability to create the results that we want for ourselves in our lives. He said that personal mastery was the ability to shape the reality we want. He also said that personal mastery is a lifelong pursuit. In other words, maintaining creative tension requires reminding ourselves of our purpose and long-term vision for our own lives. As we can see, creative tension is an important way for individuals and organizations to turn personal or professional challenges into opportunities to learn and grow. That wraps up our introduction to the concept of creative tension. We'll see you soon.